shadowy underbelly of Mississippi, a notorious gang prowls. They are known as the Aryan Brotherhood of Mississippi. Their reputation was forged in blood and fear. The members are highly skilled in the ways of darkness, and they are among the masters of the underworld. Led by the Wheel, they thrive in chaos and anarchy. Their whispered name sends shivers down the spines of even the bravest of souls. As night fell, the ABM gathered in their lair, a dilapidated trailer in the backwoods. The air crackled with tension. Every glance, a silent promise of violence. With a swift motion, a thunder warrior called for silence, his piercing gaze sweeping the room. "Tonight, we get him," he declared, his voice cold and commanding. As plans unfolded, a sense of dread hung in the air, knowing that when they struck, they left nothing but ruin behind. In their world, cowardice was a disgrace, and betrayal was met with a swift and merciless end. This is the story of Michael "Skip" Hudson and the Aryan Brotherhood of Mississippi.
The Aryan Brotherhood of Mississippi, ABM, was formed in 1984, inspired by Aryan Brotherhood gangs from California and Texas. It developed its own unique structure and symbolism, including a paramilitary hierarchy with ranks such as captains, lieutenants, and a governing body called the Wheel, consisting of 3 generals known as spokes. The ABM was initially established in the Mississippi Department of Corrections. Over time, the gang expanded its influence beyond the prisons, becoming a dominant group for white inmates throughout Mississippi. Members are divided into northern, central, and southern zones, each overseen by a spoke. The ABM is known for its use of specific colors, symbols, and slogans. They employ the number 13, representing the letter M for Mississippi, and their main patch involves the letters A and B. The gang's elite group, called the Thunder Warriors, are identified by lightning bolt tattoos, usually on the neck. Colors like blue, gold, silver, black, and red hold special meanings, with blue and red as battle colors. Their slogans include, "Where Aryan boots tread, there will be respect or bloodshed," and "From man to man, from brother to brother, together in battle for a cause." ABM members refer to themselves as the family and hold weekly meetings known as church. Prospects must prove loyalty and are tested with questions targeting their views on violence, racial separatism, and obedience. Punishments for breaking gang rules range from fighting to getting jumped, called Thunderdome, and even more severe measures like smash on sight or kill on sight. And this is where Michael "Skip" Hudson enters the story.
Skip drove down an alley, his heart pounding in rhythm with the engine in his car. A chill ran through him, not from the humid, swampy air, but from the gnawing dread that had become his constant companion. 3 weeks ago, he had made a reckless decision, one fueled by desperation and the allure of quick cash. Now, that decision had morphed into a noose tightening around his neck. He owed $600, and then he failed to show up to the meeting to get his beating. If he did go to the meeting and get his punishment, that may have canceled the debt. But now it was too late. Their presence loomed in his mind like a ghost, their faces twisted with menace, their voices echoing through his thoughts. "Pay up or we'll come for you," they had said, his voice like gravel, each word a hammer, driving home the reality of Skip's predicament. Now, every figure in the street seemed like a member of the gang. A man in a hood, a couple of teenagers walking on the sidewalk. Each interaction felt like a trap closing in on him. The weight of his choices crashing down as he realized how deep he had fallen. When his phone rang, it was one of the only members he could trust, or so he thought. It was James Dean. James was good at calming him down, and that is exactly what he did. He convinced Skip to come over to Wendell Eve's house to help cook up a batch of substance. The night was eerily quiet as Skip approached the weathered house out near the swamp, its windows and uninviting. A flicker of unease danced in his gut, but he pushed it aside, reminding himself that this was just a meeting with a friend. He raised his hand to knock, but hesitated, a chill sweeping over him. The air felt heavy, charged with a tension he couldn't shake. Taking a deep breath, he tapped his knuckles against the door, the sound echoing into the stillness. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit foyer.
"Skip, you made it!" The voice was warm, but there was an undercurrent that sent a shiver down his spine. It was Wendell, but there was something unsettling in his eyes. "Hey, good to see you," Skip replied, forcing a smile as he stepped inside. The door swung shut behind him with a resounding click, sealing him in. As he glanced around the room, his heart sank. The shadows seemed to close in, the air thick with an unspoken tension. Something was off.
"I got the supplies in the bedroom," Wendell said, leading him further into the house. Skip followed, but unease gnawed at him with each step. He could feel it now, a trap waiting to spring.
"Is everything okay?"
Wendell asked, forcing himself to keep his voice steady.
"Of course."
Skip chuckled, but the laughter felt hollow. Skip's instincts screamed at him to turn back. He glanced at the door, but before he could voice his concerns, they entered the bedroom. It was dark and foreboding, and then he saw them. Two men, lurking in the shadows, their faces obscured, but their intentions clear.
Panic surged through Skip, the realization hitting him like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just a casual meeting. It was a setup. The door loomed behind him, a barrier he suddenly felt desperate to breach.
"Skip," Wendell said, his voice dripping with false warmth. "We've missed you, but there's something we need to discuss." Before he could react, the two men stepped forward, closing the distance between them. Skip's heart raced as he looked for an escape. He could feel their eyes on him, their smiles predatory. "Just a little chat," one of them said, and Skip's breath quickened. He took a step back, eyes darting toward the door, but they moved in tandem, blocking his path. Fear gripped him like a vice. "Listen, I think I should go," he started, but Wendell's laughter cut him off. "You're not going anywhere, Skip," Wendell said, his voice now low and dangerous. "We have some unfinished business."
The walls closed in around him as panic erupted. This was no friendly meeting. It was a trap crafted from deceit and betrayal. With every instinct screaming at him, Skip turned and bolted for the door. But the men were faster. They surged forward, the realization of his fate crashing down on him as he felt their hands grip his shoulders, pulling him back into the darkness. Skip was severely beaten by multiple people. Then they placed Skip in the trunk of a car and drove him to another location where he was strangled and killed. His body was burned in a barrel for 4 days, and his remains dumped in a nearby river.
The 2018 court record says the case involves Frank George OWENS, Jr., also known as State Raised, and Eric Glenn Parker, in their leadership roles with the Aryan Brotherhood of Mississippi. The ABM is a statewide organization that operates both within the Mississippi prison system and outside the prison system. ABM has a written constitution and a leadership hierarchy. The highest level of this hierarchy is the wheel, which consists of 3 to 4 leaders referred to as spokes. An order from the wheel carries full authority throughout the state of Mississippi. Owens and Parker were captains in the ABM. At trial, Brandon Creel, who was a spoke, testified that he and Parker distributed 10 to 20 pounds of from 2010 to 2012. Creel testified that this trafficking was a personal business for him and Parker, and that the proceeds did not get distributed to the ABM treasury. In 2010, Parker fronted to a fellow ABM member, Michael Skip Hudson, who subsequently avoided paying. Creel ordered that minutes, a fistfight, occur between Parker and Hudson to settle the drug debt. Hudson did not show up for the ordered minutes, which was a violation of an ABM direct order. Owens then ordered ABM member James Dean and ABM prospect Sonny Maxwell to kidnap Hudson so he could gift wrap him and give him to Eric Parker. Maxwell and Dean took Hudson to an ABM member's house, where he was beaten by several ABM members, including Owens. Owens and two other ABM members put Hudson in the trunk of a car and told Dean and Maxwell that he was taking Hudson to Parker. Later that night, Creel received a panicked phone call from Parker saying that there had been a situation and that he needed help. Creel at this time was the ranking ABM officer, not in prison. Parker and Owens were both present when Creel arrived at Parker's trailer. Parker explained that things had gotten out of hand and that he needed help getting rid of Hudson's body. Creel testified that he never actually saw a body because it was rolled up in a carpet when he arrived. He agreed to dispose of the body for Parker and Owens. The rolled carpet containing Hudson's body was then placed in a 50-gallon drum, transported back to Creel's house, and then taken to a nearby property. Creel then burned the drum for 4 or 5 days before tossing the remnants into a nearby river. Creel testified that Parker had told him that he choked Hudson to death. According to Creel, he did not authorize Hudson's death, and he did not think that there was ever an ABM authorization for the incident. Parker's girlfriend, Jo Kaylin Henderson, testified that Parker had said that he and Owens strangled a man to death. Thomas Parker, too, testified that Owens told him about killing Hudson. Owens and Parker were convicted for RICO and Vicar violations, including conspiracy, kidnapping, and murder.
Thank you all for joining me on this gripping journey of suspense and intrigue. As we close the chapter on this tale of crime and justice, remember that every story, no matter how dark, carries the potential for light.